Two guys here on the top, I got two guys here on the floor. They're all connected via line 6 link. So these guys automatically know that I'm going to be using them as a wedge. These guys automatically know that I'm using them as mains. So let's say you need more control. You need more ability to sort of tune stuff. Maybe you want some more effects. Maybe you need more channels, whatever. At that point, you're going to need to have some sort of, I guess a mixer. But here's the problem though. Think about how you interact with other people that know how you're speaking. If I'm at a live gig and I have a sound guy, I'll ask him, David, do me a favor, make it brighter, make it darker, can you make it fatter, whatever. I'm talking to him and he can parse what I'm asking and say, cool, I know how to do that, right? The problem with talking to a machine is the machine has to know how you're talking to it before you can talk to it. Does that make sense? That wasn't said very well, but you get the idea. The idea being that the machine, it would be nice if the machine was dang near as smart as a human being would be. Well, if you look over here, or actually look at the keynote for a second, we're introducing also, along with the speakers, the SoundSource M20D. You can go to the next slide, sorry, Rich. So the M20D digital touchscreen mixer. So basically, this is it. It is a 20-input digital mixer. It has auto-trimmable mic preamps. It has auto-sensing hardware input jacks. It actually has a solid 7-inch touchscreen in the middle that has a completely different idea about how to interact with mixing consoles. And it also has a load of DSP for channel-by-channel compressors, EQs, effects, all sorts of stuff. It also has the ability to be controlled by an iPad, which we'll talk about in a minute. It has the ability to be used as a recording interface. So you can connect a USB 2.0 drive to this thing and record all 20 channels right to the drive. You can use it as the interface for your DAW and use it that kind of way. Or if you'd like, you can also use it with a quick little 20-second quick capture loop without having to have any hardware installed, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this is the guy right here. So if we switch over to this camera, you can see that this dude is the M20D. So you're seeing a live shot of it. And you can see that because I've already got all these guys plugged in it, it automatically knows there's 2 monitors plugged in. It knows what's going on. It knows I've got these speakers hooked up. And so the paradigm is that the channels represent your mixing on a stage. So this is supposed to be something to where you can walk up to it and say, hey, there's a picture of Bob. It's even named Bob. I should hit Bob and affect him, right? So all you have to do is take a mic and plug it in and watch what happens. It automatically creates a channel for you, lets you move it around. You can position it on the stage wherever you'd like it. If you'd like, you can also make it larger or smaller, depending on how many channels you have on stage. It might be something where you've got a lot of guys on stage and you want them to be small, whatever. And you've got the ability to sort of to adjust that. So as I said before, if you're using traditional terms that you already know how they work, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to switch mics here to see if this works. Stand by. All right, so now, theoretically, there we go. All right, so now I'm coming out of these speakers. So back to my setup page, so you can see that this is what's going on. So if I hit my little tweak button here, it brings me up to a basically easy channel page. That makes sense. So the idea is these XY pads are XY panners that change between different parameters. And you can see that the layout of them, they're using descriptors you already know what they mean. Body, bright, dark, deep, all those kind of things, right? So it automatically makes sense to somebody who doesn't necessarily know how to do live sound. So as I move my hand across the XY panner, it changes the sound of the microphone based upon what those musical descriptors are. So if I say, right? So you've got all this ability to sort of move towards a word you recognize and stop when your hand sort of sounds the closest to your hand, basically. That didn't come off right. All right, so. Now, this kind of operation, of course, now these XY panners work for the press. So this is, obviously the tone tab is the EQ, the punch tab is the compressor, right? So these kinds of, this way of working probably won't be kind of way that some people would probably prefer. If you're sort of like perhaps I am, but you actually know how EQ works, you probably prefer that you can see all the values, and you can do that. So for that, you go into advanced tweak mode. So if you see the little image of the hat here for this dude, that's the graduate's hat. See, you gotta be smart. You gotta be smart to use this stuff. Now check this out. So all of a sudden, you can see all of, for one, you can see the signal channel, what's going on, right? So let's do this. Before I even get there, I want to show you this. So here where my finger is, you can see there's this thing that we're calling sort of the preset carousel. That makes sense? So each one of those pictures represents a preset, custom built for that kind of instrument. So it changes signal processing, it changes effects, it changes EQ, it changes what effects are loaded, all sorts of stuff. So as you select a preset, it will basically change the signal processing on that channel better to fit what the big brain guys at Line 6 thought would be really great for kick drum. So if I turn this down for a second just to make sure that I don't want to hurt anyone, stand by. I'm going to select the picture of the angry young male singer. Dude's angry. All right, cool. And of course, every preset has lots of reverb on it. So I'm going to just go down a little bit. I think that's just a little excessive. All right, cool. So now you can see that when I go into tweak mode, for one, you can see there's a real-time RTA happening there behind you, right? You can see that basically this is your channel strip laid out. So you've got your input channel strip, which is at the top. You have your high-pass filter. You have your dynamic EQ. You've got a compressor built in. You also have a 6-band EQ. So any of the interaction with this stuff is if you already know what's going on, you can affect it just like you would expect to. So it works both in an easy sort of a mode, and also works in a mode that a much more advanced user is going to be happy with. So there's plenty of processing in here to completely make any advanced user excitable. So now, if you're looking at basically the idea of StageScape, and one of the promises of it is that every time you play a venue, you learn about it, right? Every time you play a venue, you learn a little bit more. You come back to the same club and you're like, you know what? There is a bass bloom over right near the bathroom, right where it smells bad, and we need to fix that. So the great thing about an environment like this is that you can save every setup and every scene that you have from your gig, and next time you get back, you can basically come back to exactly right where you were, right when you turned the power off the last time you played that show. So that's everything. It's the entire mixer architecture, it's the monitors, everything. So you have the ability to improve every time you go back to a club, as opposed to starting over, which is traditionally what happens. So, wish me luck. I'm going to try to recall the scene now. Hang on. Let's see if this works. There we go. Cool. All right, so now I'm back up, stand by. Now, one of the great things about Line 6 Link, if you look over here, is that you can configure the output of those guys depending on what's going on. So this is your sort of configure page. Because it's all digital, the auto-sensing jacks aren't going to help you out there. So you can basically say, cool, you know what? This is great. So if you want to do, for instance, monitor mixes, if you look at the great little sort of encirclement there, it's telling you that that is the monitor you're going to be adjusting. So if I turn my own monitor send down here, you can see that it makes this great little graphic to show you that, I can move it farther away so you can see how cool the graphic is. It's like Space Invaders. Right, so it's cool. So I can turn myself down the monitor because I didn't really need that much. So, and also you select another monitor, and there you go. So you've got a little bit less there. Now,